We went in with our idea of, oh, we'll help them with uniforms and we'll bring them clothes. But when we got there, that wasn't the need. The need was they just needed their basic needs met. It was many kids coming to school had not brushed their teeth because they didn't have a toothbrush and they didn't have toothpaste. Their hair was not combed simply because they didn't have a brush or comb. And they came in maybe sometime disruptive in the class, and it was a lot of times it was because they were hungry.
Welcome to the Voices United in Education podcast. Each week, we showcase the teachers, administrators, and community members who go the extra mile to contribute to the success of every student in Escambia County. You'll meet the real people behind the titles and learn about the amazing resources to support every student's success. If you've ever been in an emergency with limited resources, you know how important it is to get the support you need quickly. Whether it's a hurricane, flood, domestic abuse situation, or sudden child placement, a delay in resources could mean rapidly compounding problems. My next guest is a former quality nurse at Sacred Heart, and since retiring, she's taken her skills of efficiency and community organizing to meet the needs of Pensacolians in crisis who are overwhelmed and underfunded. What started as a grassroots campaign has become a systemized effort to meet critical needs within 24 hours of reporting. Today, she's going to share how and when to access this support and how it's helping kids in Escambia County. Partner in crisis, proud mom of two, Next Step Distribution Director, Arelia Laster. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, a lot of people, when they retire, they don't start other projects. I think this is an odd decision to launch forward with what is notoriously a taxing area, nonprofits. What made you decide to start Next Step?
Well, actually, I started Next Step before I retired. For the last 32 years, I have been going out into the community, helping when I see needs. And with working as a nurse, I had the opportunity of being a school nurse at one time. I worked with Sacred Heart as an urgent care supervisor, where I had a lot of people coming in and out, including kids, and just seeing the needs in the community. I knew I had to do something. I just could not have kids coming in and not having their basic needs met. I saw the need and decided, hey, I'm not going to just talk about it. Let's do something about it.
And when did that go from being kind of a thing you did on your own to a more formalized partnership?
About 3 to 4 years ago, Next Step was partnering with another community nonprofit, Pensacola Dream Center, and we kind of outgrew the space. And so I know that I needed to branch out. We wanted to contact so many others, not just kids in school, but seniors in the community, ladies in shelters, and people even coming out of jail. I was also a chaplain for a local jail for several years. So I saw the need. What happens to the kids and what can we do to help?
That is major. Coming out of jail is a huge need no one talks about. Right? Because we kind of dismiss people who have that experience, whether we think it's because they deserve it or whatever. But recidivism happens when there's, like I said a minute ago, it's like that compounding problem that happens when you don't have your needs met.
That's right.
You go right back into bad situations, and the bad situations become worse situations.
It's true.
And I'm sure you see that all the time.
Yes.
So you support kids, people leaving prison. Who else?
Ladies in shelters. I'm connected with several shelters. They will call me if they have a need for a specific clothing size or shoe size, and also seniors. We saw the big need of seniors because we have a large amount of grandparents in this community raising children with no type of support, financial support from agencies. So we wanted to jump in and help them whatever we could do.
Wow. Okay. And when did the partnership become official with Escambia County Public Schools? Was that also 3 or 4 years ago?
That was about 3 years ago,
So right around COVID.
Yeah, right before COVID,
Okay.
we established a relationship with one school, and the navigator at that time, it was just in the preliminary stage, and at that time we said, well, we're going to focus on this one middle school that was on the west side, and we're going to see what we can do. So we went in with our idea of, we'll help them with uniforms and we'll bring them clothes. But when we got there, that wasn't the need. The need was they just needed their basic needs met. It was many kids coming to school had not brushed their teeth because they didn't have a toothbrush and they didn't have toothpaste. Their hair was not combed simply because they didn't have a brush or comb. And they came in maybe sometime disruptive in the class, and it was a lot of times it was because they were hungry. And we saw that need, and we, after collaborating with the school and the navigator, hey, what can we do to help this? So we were able to bring in snacks for the schools to have for the students, that if they came in to the counselor or to the navigator and having problems, trying to find the core of it. But we wanted to focus on the basic needs. We know people when they're in a crisis, if their basic needs, or anytime, if your basic needs are not met, it's hard to go to another level. It's hard to stay focused and do your work if you're hungry. It's hard if you think you're going to get bullied because your hair is not combed or you don't have on the right type of clothing. So we said, let's start. As a nurse, I was trained with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so the first thing is that you got to have air, you have to have food, you have to have those basic needs met. So our first focus was snacks and food, and also toiletries. Let's get the basic toiletries, and just to see their faces come in, and the teachers would let us know which students. At that time, before COVID, we were able to set up in the cafeteria at the end on a Friday. And we were able to give them those items. But then after COVID, we had to find out, okay, the needs are still there. They're back to school now. What can we do to help? So that's when we established the relationship with not just one school, but with others, with the navigators. And with the Children's Home Society, we set up a protocol that the supervisor would gather the needs for all the schools and email it to us on a Monday. And then that Thursday, the navigators actually come to our location and line up, and we give them the bags of items that they need for their school.
Oh, wow. So it really is specific to that school. We interviewed people from the Navigators and the Children's Home Society. And so for listeners who have listened to those episodes, they're already familiar with how that supports kids in the school without telling them what they need. They instead listen to what they need. Do I have that right?
That's right.
From that relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's
wow,
right. Yeah.
That's
and
incredible.
we love it. It has worked out very well. And especially when the navigator identifies a family. So we're not just focusing on that one child in the school, because if there's a family situation, a crisis, we've helped families who've had fires, families who've been evicted, families that are in hotels for long term. I mean, they're in there for a long term. We have one example of a family, a lady of 4 children, and they were in an extended stay hotel for over 4 months. And so we realized helping them was great for that one time, getting their toiletries and everything. But this young lady didn't have any other support. She was from one of the islands, so she didn't have a green card yet. So it was a lot of things she needed. So we decided we couldn't do it for all the families in all the schools, but this one particular family, we helped throughout the whole 4 months. And then when she was able to get a home, then we were able to rally up support from our church members and from friends to help furnish her house. So now she has furniture and she has all of her kitchen items that she needs. And we selected her for Christmas, and we had other people who wanted to partner, and they made sure that the children had a great Christmas.
Wow. That's so interesting, because is that because you can do all of that because you're a smaller organization? Because that sounds like a big pivot, because you normally help in more of an acute situation, like there's a crisis, okay, we're going to meet this need, and then that is enough of a boost to get the person to the next place.
Right.
But this is not the typical situation.
That's not the typical situation. That's just one that we realize, hey, we can help and we can do more than just help one time. And so when we put the needs out to the community and said, hey, we have a family that have this need, they were very, very supportive in helping for this family. So we can't do that for every family, but this particular family stood out. And we know this mother, the single mom, was trying to do the best she could. But I can't imagine being in a hotel with 4 kids for 4 months.
No,
So-
and keep sanity?
And keep sanity.
Oh, no,
yes,
no,
yes. And one of the children were in diapers.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
So the silent game wouldn't even work.
No.
Did your mom do that?
Yes,
It was
she
like,
did.
we're going to play the quiet
Quiet
game.
game.
Whoever can stay quiet the longest wins.
Yes, that's
Why did
right.
that work on us? I have
It
no-
worked. But at that time, we had other things that worked, too, that they don't use now.
Oh,
but,
I feel you.
Yes.
I feel you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
but
we
with
don't
my
do that.
mom, it was just the stare. That's all. You had to get that
Oh,
look.
she had powers.
Yes, she had power. So,
Interesting.
yes.
Wow. Well, you said something earlier that I think is important to revisit, and that is that it's not just about that one kid. It's about the family. And I would say it seems, tell me if I'm understanding correctly, but it also seems like it's about the whole classroom. It's about the whole
Yes.
the whole school, because if you have one kid who's distracted, etc., then it's, you know how kids are.
Yes.
Everyone's distracted.
They are. And so when you're able to fulfill that need, especially if the kid is hungry, you know, they may have come to school late. Free lunches may have been free breakfast, but now they've come in late, distressed, hungry. And so they get in the classrooms and, you know, they act out sometimes. And so when we find out, it's not, I think our kids are being exposed to so many adult type problems that when we were children. But now these kids are having to handle things such as evictions and not having enough food and not knowing where they're going to stay the next night. So those are adult type of situations that we have problems dealing with. And so for a child to have to encounter that, sometimes it comes out emotionally different ways. And so we just want to see, what can we do? We can't do everything, but we can be there to help with the basic needs to get them started and be able for them to go to the next step.
I've noticed that in the last 2 years that, and everyone's noticed this, but the housing situation has been really chaotic. And it's not uncommon for a landlord to tell a good tenant, a paying every month tenant, that, oh, I'm sorry, you got to go. This literally happened on my street. You know, single dad, 2 kids. You have to be out by Christmas, which was 3 weeks from the date that he told them. And so it's interesting, the different flavors of crisis that can happen. And it's not always one size fits all.
Right.
I know another family who it was after Hurricane Sally, and then months had passed after they had asked for repair. Once, you know how that went, it was so delayed. After they got the approval for repair, they kicked the family out. And so they're not, that kid wasn't even the same school district. They had all kinds of needs. And so I think it's interesting when we think about crisis. I don't know. I think I can speak for myself. I definitely have had tunnel vision on what that looks like. Okay, somebody's beating up somebody, you know, something like that.
Right.
Like that's a crisis. But crisis can just be, you could be on the edge of crisis at any moment. So have you seen a lot more of the housing type crisis since?
Yes, that's probably the number one need for the families is housing. And so some of the families are being displaced and placed in extended stay hotels. And we have, unfortunately, we have families in Pensacola that are staying in cars. And so that type of environment, and don't know when that's going to end. And so, and some of the families I've encountered, they have had that challenge with housing. Then they've gotten approved for the amount that the government will help and assist with. And then they can't find a house, because if you have 5, 6, 7 kids, and we do have quite a few families with large families. I just encountered a family with 11 kids. 11 kids, a single mom. And no judgment, but the thing is that now, what landlord wants to rent for a family of 11. And then some of the guidelines is that you got to have so many bedrooms for so many children. And so that has become a challenge. And so unfortunately, some of the families have had to split up and go to a friend, go to a relative house just to be able to stay in their school district, to have some type of normalcy in their life, especially with the adolescents. They're already going through hormonal changes and all this other stuff. And now they have the challenge of, what are we going to do? We have grandmas that's trying to figure that out. I had a 75-year-old gentleman contact me several weeks ago, and he said, hey, I just got custody of my grandchildren, and I had to say yes, or they were going to be going to foster care. And he said, I don't know what to do with a 5 and 6-year-old. And so he had nothing. He said, I don't even know. I had to just described to him, I said, go in the back of their shirt and see what size they wear. And so we were able to help him and his wife get the clothing that they needed. And he said, what kind of toys do they need? I said, well, let's get the basic stuff. Let's get underwear and socks and shoes, and then we'll help with some of the toys and items. And we were able to, at that time, had some items that can help them as far as furniture, because they didn't have beddings for them. So that was really kind of, I thought about myself, okay, I'm retired. What would I do if tomorrow I have a 5 and 6-year-old to raise it with the husband? That
I just hook up an IV drip to coffee.
Right.
Just like hook it up.
Yes.
You're going to need it.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I can't imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah.
Is it mostly physical supplies, or do you make connections with local resources also?
It's physical supplies, and I make connection with local companies or local partners, because some of the local businesses here have found out about us, and they have been supportive for us. And it's usually because of one of their employees will go in and tell them, hey, we got a local nonprofit that we want to try to support. And a lot of the businesses, Life Storage is one of them, who've said, hey, you're doing stuff in the community. You're a 501c3. We see that you're getting it out to the children in need, and we want to help it right here in Pensacola. And so they have been supportive for us. And working as a nurse and retiring as a nurse, I actually did this while I was working. And I would do it on weekends, and I would do it in the evening. And it would be so funny that any given time at the urgent care when I was there, someone would come in and the child didn't have the appropriate clothes, and they would run into my office. Hey, what do you have in your car? Conveniently, I had something in that car that child could put on or connect with them to get them shoes or whatever is needed. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So when you mentioned support from the community, how is the organization funded? Where do the goods come from? Where does the labor come from?
Well, one of our biggest partners is with Good 360. And that is an organization set up for nonprofits where companies like the Targets and the Walmart and different industries send all their returns and all of their penny items to them. And what we do is we pay just the shipping fee. So, example, 2 weeks ago, they had up on the website, hey, we have Nike shoes. And so with those shoes, I can order that, and all I'm paying is for the shipping fee. And so for that, I'll have whatever the need is at next step right then. Those are the things that I'm looking for. And then we have local partners with other churches, maybe a bigger organization, and they also are connected with 360, Good 360, but they want to deal with the appliances and bikes and big items. So they said, we got the clothes too. We're going to partner, and we're going to be able to get this out to you so you can also get the clothes and the shoes and the items out. So we have donations like that, and just individuals. We have partners who found out about us. We were on News 3. We were featured about a little over a month ago. And so people in the community heard about the needs, and they start calling me and saying, what do you need at this time? So I have a secret shopper right now who every Sunday when I get out of church and go over to the warehouse, it is something on that front step. And if it's diapers that I need that week, I've never met this lady. And she just leave packs of new diapers and whatever the need is. And that's what it's about. All of us working together as a community. Next Step can't do it alone. But we know our portion is for clothes and shoes and toiletries and food. So our church next to the warehouse, Wild Lake Church. They also are big partners. And so we are able to every week. We had a ladies group yesterday that had us come to a luncheon, and they presented us with a monetary gift, bags of food, and bag of all brand new shoes. Because this month I knew that kids from the beginning of the year into now, their shoes are pretty worn out. So we've been able to give shoes, new shoes to kids. And we had a large outreach last Friday in a local housing area. And we went there, and each child got 2 pair of shoes, new shoes, and they got 2 pair of outfits, new outfits.
Wow.
And they were ecstatic. They were so happy. The one little girl walked in and she said, "Okay, tell me how much all this costs." I said, "It's free." She was like, "Free?" Her face just started shining, and she went out to tell the whole neighborhood, "Hey, it's free."
That's so cute. So you're not just working with navigators in Escambia County Public Schools, but you're showing up at apartment buildings and communities where you feel like there is a need.
Yes.
Overall.
Yes, we do weekly outreach over in the Montclair area. Every Saturday morning, we partner with another church, Kingdom Harvest. It's called Harvest Community Outreach. They give out boxes of food every Saturday morning at 7:30.
So it really is a lot of people in different corners of Pensacola helping out a little bit.
Yes.
So are you the only official staff person?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
But I have great volunteers.
I see that. That's what's so impressive. Is usually it's like you've got, a handful of worn down employees in nonprofits and then people that you have to convince to participate. But yours is pretty much the inverse of that. You've got all these people contacting you to participate so that, they can help families and the kids in the area.
Yes. And what's so good about this is that we have a lot of retired school teachers. So they saw the needs while they were working, and so they get it. They're like, okay, yes, we're going to help these students because we know they can't be successful without having their basic needs met. So we have retired nurses and retired school teachers. And now we're starting to get men who want to, what can I do? What's the physical work I can do? What can I do when you go out for the outreaches? And it's been very successful with that.
Wow. And how do people qualify for these goods and services?
Well, we don't have you have to pre-qualify. If there's a need, then you qualify.
Okay. Is there a certain way the need's assessed?
No. What I do as far as with families, the navigators pretty much do that as far as with the schools. They find out what children are in need and we're able to help them. As far as in the community, a lot of, like we've had in the last several months fires, and they've been connected to us. And they said, we just had a fire and we're at the hotel and we don't have anything. So we're able to help them immediately. Have some items, clean clothes, new items to start again. And then as we know, immediately after the fire, the acute need is just the basic needs. But then as they get housing again, then we also will step up. And if we have the furniture donated to us, then we will go ahead and donate it to them.
So if people are in need and they need help, what's the process to reach out?
They will reach out to our local number that I'll give out.
Yeah, you can give it now. I'll also put it in the episode description.
It's 850-723-0475. They can also reach out on our Facebook page, Next Step Distribution Facebook page, and they can leave us a message there. But then I will contact them back and actually find out what is the crisis. That's our question. What is the crisis that you have going on right now? And so at that time, we want to be assistance for people. I always call them patients because that's my background. So, but we also don't want them to feel like that this is a place that you call every month to get your diapers or, because that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to help people in crisis to get to the next step. So you may have needed diapers this month. So what can we do to help you? Who do we need to refer you to? All of our community partners, who can help you with that? And so that's what we try to do.
And that's so smart. I love the way that you're doing that. Is the number that you said, do they have to, everyone texts now. Can they text the number?
They can text.
Okay. Okay.
They can text me the information, their name, and what the need is, and then someone will get back with them.
Oh, that's so simple.
Yeah,
I love
it is
that.
very simple. We don't try to make it complicated.
Well, so many of them, nonprofits are not all their fault, but it is, as someone who's tried to help people in crisis and, in different moments of my life have had significant needs. It's like once you get up the courage, right, to go seek out the help that you need, they're like, great, we'll put you on the wait list. And, 4 months from now, we may have the help that you need. And that's just really not the nature of crisis.
It's not. And that's why we try to, if I'm not available, I do have some of our board members and some of the volunteer leaders who would take the phone, and they will make sure that someone returns that phone call. And we get calls from people that are getting out of jail and they may need more clothes, because we do support the jail, local jail, with bags. We call them hope bags. And the hope bag will have a pair of pants, a top, and some toiletries to get them started. Why? Because they get discharged from jail at 12 o'clock midnight here in Escambia
Which
County.
is cruel.
It is. And so when they came in, they may have had bloody clothes on, or they may have been in the jail for 6 or 7 months. They can't even fit in their clothes anymore. So we just want to give them hope to go to the next level. Don't return back to the streets where you were doing that got you in here. So that has been successful, working with our local chaplain and making sure that the children, a lot of times the chaplain would contact me about father may be concerned that his children he's still incarcerated, but the children have needs and they don't know what to do. And so we will follow up with that family and see what we can do to help.
Wow, that is so comprehensive. If someone wants to donate to Next Step, how can they do that?
They can use that same number, contact me, and then what I do ask them, what type of donations do you have? Because we do take gently used clothes, but I mean just gently. So we don't want the garage sale leftovers. Right. And that's not trying to sound cruel or anything, but we want something that you can ask yourself your question, would I put my child or my mother in this? And if it needs to be repaired, they can't do that. We need something that's ready and clean. And so what I'll do is screen when you call in, and I'll let you know. Right now, we're just taking men jeans and T-shirts because we're in the need of men clothes. For some reason, men don't like giving away clothes, but
that's because they wear them to death, Arelia. Yes. It's because by the time they're done with them, they don't look like clothes anymore. Yeah.
So we're in need of men jeans, and those are the clientele that we're out in the community with. So we don't want fancy suits. And yes, we'll take a few maybe suits to wear for a job interview, but we don't want a whole big abundance of that. Basically, they just want clean items to put on. And with our seniors, they look forward to getting things like that. I go every week to this area, and the seniors like, hey, one lady came to me not long ago. She said, hey, look at me. I said, hi, you look good today. She said, no, look at me. She said, Next Step dressed me from the top of my head to that's worth it all.
That's so sweet.
Because that grandma wasn't going to be able to go out and buy anything for herself. But
it's about dignity.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so if you can make a person feel good about themselves, if a child can come to school with a new pair of shoes on, they may most likely be so proud to be able to sit in class and like, yeah, I have on a new pair of shoes today and I feel good about myself. Yeah. And that's important.
If someone wants to donate cash?
Yes, we have a Cash App account, and that is Next Step Distribution, Cash App. And we have a PayPal, which is also just Next Step Distribution. They can go in, and it's going to say my name, Arelia Laster, under that capture, but they can donate that way. If you have a small business, and we had a lady right after COVID had a home business, and she was selling new dresses, female clothes. But after COVID, she said, I'm not up for it. And she just came and gave us her whole inventory.
Wow.
So anytime that you have that type of thing where you have a quantity of items, we had a lady at about a month ago. She said, hey, I had this coats. She had collected all these brand new coats for something, and it didn't pan out. So she bought me 50 new coats, children coats.
Wow.
Children coats. We just had a local bank to contact us last week. They had an event, and they had shoes left over, and they were all brand new shoes. And that was just the week that someone had called and said the family with 11 children had a fire, and those shoes were able to go directly to them.
Oh.
We don't like to store stuff. That's why we call it distribution. We want to get it out to the kids in need.
I love that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
I love it.
And thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and share. Voices United in Education is a production of Escambia County Public Schools.